Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of High Energy Girl. And today's awesome guest is Rym Selmi. And Rym is the founder and CEO of Miro, which is a keto-friendly, low sugar and low carb chocolate and baking ingredients company. We had a fascinating conversation about quality of life, stopping to pause, and what Miro actually means. She follows a plant-based, mostly keto lifestyle, and she so graciously gave us a discount code. It is energy 10. So you can head on over to miro.co. That's www.miro.co and use the code energy 10 to receive 10% off your order. So let's go and say hello to Rym. Hey everyone, welcome to High Energy Girl, a podcast helping women to age stronger because it is never too late to get fit, be strong, and feel sexy. I'm your host, Tracy Gluhite, health coach and personal trainer and founder of highenergygirl.com. Each week, we will either have a guest interview, which will provide you encouragement or an actionable tip to help you age stronger, or I will do a solo episode. Please also join our awesome Facebook group called High Energy Girls, and I'm looking forward to see you on the inside of that group and hope you enjoy today's show. Give a woman a fish, feed her for a day. Teach a woman to fish, feed her for a lifetime. Teach a woman to fish, end world hunger. Have you ever wanted to help people improve their health journey? Have you thought about coaching people with a keto lifestyle? Would you like to become an integrative health coach? Well, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, or IIN as we call it, is the largest nutrition school in the country. And in 2011, I graduated from their program and became a health coach. It was completely awesome. We learned over 100 different dietary theories and talk about craziness and confusion. My wish for you is that we can lock arms and create a tribe of health coaches all around the country, all around the world to spread the keto message. If this resonates with you and you would like to look into this option deeper, please go to my blog at highenergygirl.com and click on the link to the right of the homepage. Here you can grab the curriculum guide and see if it inspires you. Since I care so much about my listeners, I negotiated the very best tuition rate for you at IIN. Either you can contact them directly and give them my name, or I will introduce you to a counselor so you can decide if this is a good fit for you and your career goals. Let me know how I can support you in this coaching career opportunity. Hey, Rym, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. So for the listeners that don't know you yet, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Rym. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm specialized into like consumer packaged food and more specifically like street treats that have a healthier twist. I was born and raised in the south of France until like the age of 20, and then I moved around the world, so in various countries. And then I started like to get really interested into the plant-based lifestyle, more generally speaking, when I used to live in London like almost 7 years ago. And this was a shift, I totally shifted like my diet and my habits and everything. And then later on, I came to the US where through my gestational diabetes, I started to get more and more interest into low sugar or no added sugar kind of products, and we've just launched basically several months ago our brand here in the US called Miro.
And what does that stand for? Is that a French word?
No. It's actually a Latin word. It means to wonder, and it basically describes the idea that when you pause to have like a delicious moment to enjoy on some food, like it just transports you to another place. It describes this moment. So that's why we have all the semantic about on our packaging about like the wonderful world of Miro, wonderful, wondrous, like those kind of things, because it really describes where we want our customers to be in. We want to create a bubble where they can stop, indulge, enjoy the moment, and be very present during this moment, and then keep going during, like, go back to their to their hectic lifestyle.
Wow, I love that. That is a beautiful philosophy. We all need to be more mindful and stop and enjoy.
Yes. And myself first, because, you know, like when you work, like when you are an entrepreneur, like days never stop, and you don't really have like weekends, and you don't really have bank holidays. And even when you're with your family and friends, your phone keep buzzing, and you're no longer present. Really, you're just like always in the future, planning, executing, but you don't really pause and enjoy. And it was first and foremost a lesson for myself to remember, and then by extension, because like it's something that we noticed that a lot of adults, because it's a brand for grown-ups, so a lot of adults are going through too. So we found that mirror was the perfect word.
That's true. I think that as humanity, the last couple of years, hopefully for many, were educational and eye-opening and gave us more pause. Instead of being hurry, scurry, just head down, focusing on the stuff that's right before us, that we were able to sit back and be retrospective and decide what's the most important.
Yes, absolutely.
Get off that hamster wheel, you know?
Yes. And I think that where I personally noticed around me, like a lot of shifts, was with people's career. Like it no longer, like friends or family, like they no longer place career at the center. And a lot of them are more like, it's okay if I make less money. It's okay if I have less opportunities. I just want to live in a place that makes me happy. I just want to do this or that for myself. And it's a shift that is very, I mean, first of all, is influencing the next generation. So my child was born 6 months prior COVID. So she didn't have like a normal toddler time period of her life. But I think it's just going to, because we are for us who have lived this, we are still a generation that educates the youngest ones. And I think we are going to incorporate this in our education. Okay, it's great to have a great school. It's great to go to uni. It's great to do this and that, to be ambitious and everything. But it's also important that you keep doing stuff that you love for yourself, that you don't get lost in these crazy, like hectic lifestyle that you might have if you have a career. That even if you have a career, you ask yourself if you really want it, you really want to have it, or if the society wants you to have it, and you just have it because it sounds good to have it. Like, I think it just forces people to ask those questions and to educate the younger generation to ask themselves this question too.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. And I think so many people are happy that have less, you know, I mean, I feel like it's less stress than, like, we live in a big house. My husband puts all this pressure on himself. And I said, why don't we just sell this place and downsize? He's like, no way. I'm like, okay. But, you know, he's 60 something. He's not going to change leopard doesn't change his spots. You know what I mean? He doesn't listen. So, okay. So let's talk about what inspired you to even start a food brand? I mean, to me, that idea seems absolutely overwhelming. Like, why would you want to do that, especially with a young child?
So it just reflects my journey. So I started in the my career as an employee in a bank. So I was more on the financial side, working with big customers, but I felt miserable. I always tried to fit in, but my skills were different. Like, I'm the kind of person who is very expressive, who can be quite creative. I need my space. I don't need anyone to tell me what I have to do, and I don't want anyone to tell me that I have to stay up to, I don't know, like a specific time just because like it's just the standard. Like, you have to stay until 10 p.m. because everyone else is staying until 10 p.m. or even worse, like longer, like crazier hours. So and I tried to fit in, and after a few years I felt it's not for me. So I totally changed my career path, and I went from like a banking environment to a more corporate one, which was like very different. It was just like a 9 to 5 job, no mission, no purpose, no nothing. Just like good friends, good lifestyle. You get out of from work at 5 p.m. and then you feel that it's just the middle of the afternoon and you still have like so many hours. And this is where I started to think about this brand. Really, it's really at the time where after like being so hard with myself, like imposing to my body and my mind so many difficult things, like going very late to bed, having a very poor diet, being overstressed all the time, working on weekends, and so on and so forth. This is where I started like to think, okay, it's no longer feasible. I need to take care of my body. I need to take care of myself. And this is where I started like to go dairy-free for 2 weeks. So it initially started as a challenge, and I saw amazing results. And I pushed the challenge a bit further, and I said, okay, let's go plant-based for 2 weeks. And at the time it wasn't mainstream, and it was an amazing experience. It was like all of a sudden my productivity was no longer the same. My night, my sleep was more repairing. Like I noticed so many positive things. So the skin, but it's not the most important thing. Like quite a few positive things, and I thought, okay, I really, really like this lifestyle. So it created such a big impact on me that I wanted to put it at the center of my life. And this is where I started to think about like food products.
Cool. So are you still plant-based?
Yes.
So I have a funny story to tell you. One of my friends, her husband went plant-based, but he would eat boxes of crackers and bags of candy. And she just thought, oh, the irony. Oh, but it's plant-based. There's no animal products in here. And he just, that was just not the healthy way to do it, So I eat very low carb, but I do it a healthy way. Like I have a whole garden. I have my own chicken eggs. It's not like the whole old fashioned bacon and cheese diet. I eat lots of salads and wild fish and a healthier way,
Yes.
So I think plant-based can be healthy, but it also can not be healthy. What does your plant-based look like?
Okay, so first of all, I would like to it's a very interesting point. So I think there is some confusion. Like plant-based and vegan are used interchangeably, but they are very different, because plant-based means natural. it's really like you go back to the plants. So it's basically pulses, it's like veggies, it's fruits, it's like more natural stuff that are not processed. And unfortunately, the food industry like use it so much that people think that it's actually equal to vegan. So people who have a plant-based, who live like basically can eat a plant-based diet can have, for example, honey. Vegan people can't have honey because it's basically like it involves an animal, so a bee, while a plant-based diet is a bit broader than that. Um, so so that's the first thing. So I really follow not a vegan lifestyle, but a plant-based lifestyle. So more natural stuff. I try to avoid processed food. Yeah. And then on top of that, because I contracted a gestational diabetes when I had my first child, my first and only actually child. This is where I started to get more and more aware of sugar, and hence the brand. Basically it was because now I prefer avoiding sugar as much as possible. So I would say that my diet doesn't really have a label, because I love mixing a bit of keto and a bit of plant-based, even though the plant-based diet is the foundation. So for example, I like to have a dinner that is heavy in good fats and lower in carbs. But I won't have 100% keto diet where I count the amount of net carbs and everything, because I think that a keto diet can have like very healthy foundations. But I'm the kind of person that cannot, like, if I don't want to, because knowing myself, if I get obsessed over a diet, I will stop. I won't continue.
Nobody wants to count. I don't count anything.
That's good. That's very good. So I just take like the foundations of a keto diet. And sometimes for example, if I'm invited somewhere, or if there are carbs, there are carbs. If there are no carbs, then good. So that's really the way I do it. But I would say, yeah, it's primarily plant-based, and I'm aware of I try to increase my amount of good fat, and to reduce my amount of carbs, especially in the evening.
And what part of Florida do you live in?
I live in Miami.
Oh, okay. So you guys probably have tons of fresh produce down there, right?
There are tons of fresh produce, and also like really good fruits, really good. Like you can actually buy your veggies from small farmers, local farmers. So that's the cool thing. Yes.
Yeah, I love my farmer's market. I go most Saturdays. I go to yoga, and then go to the farmer's market after yoga. So
yes.
My husband loves to grow stuff. So I live on a small farm. We have 80 fruit trees. He just planted about 25 berry bushes, and I have a huge garden right now. I think there's kale and Swiss chard, and we're waiting for like tomatoes and zucchini and all that stuff. So
nice. It must be a lot of work though.
Oh, he does it. I don't do it. I don't like digging in. I like my herb garden though, because I like the fresh herbs and all that. Okay, so let's go back to your company. So tell us all of the different product lines and what your favorites are and how you guys distribute.
Yeah, so we have two lines of products. So we have a chocolate line, which is more like chocolate bars, peanut butter cups, and then we have a baking line. So our chocolate, so like my favorite product and probably our bestseller too are the peanut butter cups. And then in our baking line, our bestseller is actually the peanut butter baking chips. So it's like we've had the comment that it's actually like eating peanuts, which I agree with. And then we have also maple flavored syrup. So it just replicates the taste of maple syrup, but it just have 2 grams of sugar and net carbs for per serving, so for 2 tablespoons. So very much into the sweet treats, baking kind of vibe.
Do you guys have recipes to use those chips in?
Yes, we do. Actually, so on our website, we have a video section, so video recipe section, and we also have a blog where you can find a lot of recipes. And we are actually, we are going to really spend quite a bit of time on it because we get this request so many times. So yeah.
What's your website?
It's Miro.co, which is MIIRO.co.
Now, are you French?
Yes.
Okay, but what is this? This is not a French word. You said, you said it was Latin?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, cool. Thank you for sending me the products, by the way. Very delicious. I'd like to find a recipe to use the chips in though. Because when my family makes cookies, I never get to eat them. So I'm also gluten-free. So I don't, I can't eat any of that stuff. Sometimes I sneak a treat, but I'd rather not.
Yeah. I mean, like there are so many great recipes we are actually preparing, and we are spending more and more time on TikTok because it's just like the short form content videos are just like so in line with what we can do and to spread our message. So I think you're going to be able to find more and more keto recipes that are also plant-based. So yeah.
What's your TikTok handle?
It's Miro, so MIIRO, and then _ plant-based.
Okay. Okay, cool. We'll put that in the show notes so people can find that as well.
Thank you.
So what do you see happening in your future? Like, what is your long-term range plan?
So like in terms like for our company, I think we will just adjust with the feedback we get. So if people wants to see some specific form of products, we will do our best to put it on the market. So, and then we're not in a hurry to go to stores, to retail. It's not something that we put ourselves some pressure on. And then on my personal life, I want to spend more time with my daughter because she's young age, and she needs me. It's the moment for me. So I think that, having more mirror moments in the sense of like pausing and being present is something that I'm more and more working on. So my biggest challenge is to work on my mindfulness, I would say, and to be more present with my family, especially after COVID. As you said earlier, like I'm one of those that realized a few things. So it's something that I'm trying to implement for this year.
Yeah, good. I stayed home with my kids. I was the room mom with everything, the play dates. We were in Las Madres, and I had 3 boys in 3 years. So when my oldest was 3, a month later, I had my youngest. So it was crazy. But I mean, I wouldn't change anything. My oldest lives in New York and he calls me every morning. And my middle one lives down in Southern California and calls me every day in the evening on his way to the gym. So all that time, there's nothing like it. It's just the best gift ever. So good.
Yes.
For you.
I mean, sometimes I have to admit, when you're a mom, you always feel guilty. You feel guilty for everything. Like you feel guilty for sometimes not having the strength to go and play with your child. You feel guilty when sometimes you take some shortcuts with food. So you just take something, you warm something that is you put something together that is very quick and easy instead of having something more elaborate. And you also, when you work, feel guilty to not spend more time with your child and almost to have this another kind of baby that takes so much more time, but that is so much less valuable, of course. And you feel guilty for all those things. And I have to say that I ever said to myself, it's not the right thing to do. I should stay with her. I should be like, because I hate regretting stuff. So I don't like regrets in my life. So, but then there's also a side of me that says, okay, if you don't do now the stuff that you love, that really gives you some inspiration and forces you to keep like fulfilling yourself on a day-to-day basis, then I will regret too. Mm-hmm. So there is no shortcut. There is no like there is no good or bad solution, but or good or bad choice. But it's very difficult, especially like I just have one child. So you want to give the best to her, like the best of yourself, your time, everything. But so sometimes it can be a bit difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? Everybody's family and everybody's life is different. So just don't compare yourself to anybody else, and trust your intuition to guide you into the right path for your family. You know, I would like to take back some stuff. You know, I raised my kids on junk food. Like I used to go to fast food all the time. My oldest was born in 93.
Okay.
And I fed them the way I was fed as a kid. You know, we would go to fast food like at least twice a week. Everything was in a box, like, you know, the Tony's pizza, all the kid cuisine. And then in 2007, I started studying nutrition. I was like, oh man. And so I had to backpedal and retrain them. And it was, you know, not easy. And like they wouldn't eat vegetables. And it was just like, I used to always eat salads. I love salad. But yeah, so, you know, but you don't know what you don't know, and you do the best you know how at the time. And we're constantly evolving, right? As humans, we're just constantly evolving. So don't have any guilt or regrets. You're just doing the best you can right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with that. I think that like regrets and but no, not even regrets, but guilt is a very recurring theme for a mom, especially like a new mom, because my child is still a toddler. So yeah, it's something that I've heard a lot of my friends are having too. And some changed their career because of that, and others didn't. But it's something that I think a lot of people will relate to. But there is something that I'm saying to myself is there is no right or wrong. Mm-hmm. You take a decision and then you do your best to be able to deliver like whatever you can deliver on each side. So it can be challenging. So I totally understand you wanted to stay at home for your children. I think it's a beautiful thing to do. And yeah, it's
I helped my husband. He had his own company, and so I helped him. I'd be nursing a baby and working on a blueprint, you know. But the thing is, we can always change our mind. But I want to ask you another question. What in the world did you do for a bank that you had to work until 10 o'clock at night?
No, so I was I basically helped companies acquire other companies or sell their companies. So this is a bit like a lawyer kind of job where you stay late at night. It's something that, you know, like customers can call you at any time, and you always have like presentations and models to prepare, like financial models to prepare, those kind of things. So it's a lot of work. And also because you work with high profile customers, clients, you cannot say no, you cannot push back. So, so yeah, and that's why I wasn't fit for this, because sometimes, I mean, I'm not someone that is very political in the sense that it looks good to do something, so let's do it. No, I'm not like that. If it looks good to do something, but it doesn't feel right, I won't do it. So my personality really didn't fit.
That's cool. Good for you. Well, I mean, I live in Silicon Valley. You know where that is, right? Born and raised Silicon Valley, and the commutes and the work hours for a lot of the people in corporate America, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I never really had to deal with that. But I've heard a lot of stories from, my friends and stuff. But I mean, I've never heard of anybody having to work till 10 at night. So that's good that you were able to escape and go back to something regular. So that is awesome. So besides TikTok, where can people find you?
So we are on almost every social media, like Instagram, Facebook, same thing, same handle. So it's Miro_plant-based for Instagram and Miro.plant-based for Facebook. And otherwise, we have a blog that is just like a goldmine, really good resource for everything plant-based and keto. And it's just like every time we find something like new, I don't know, like some statistics or some piece of data that we feel can be helpful for our audience, we will write an article around it. Or also we have a lot of resource for beginners, for keto lifestyle or for plant-based lifestyle. So it's something that we spend a lot of time on. So I would say that our blog is a really good resource.
And you can do keto plant-based, because
you can.
Like keto is not high protein. It's not like you need, a bunch of animal products to do keto. You just take your delicious vegetables and add a bunch of butter and olive oil. And well, I guess you don't do butter, but olive oil, avocado oil, any healthy fats, and that's keto, right?
Yeah, I think that what is the only thing that is difficult when you combine the two is when you don't have experience, because a plant-based lifestyle can be heavy in carbs. So it's just knowing the alternatives. So how to, for example, using almond flour instead of like a typical flour. So learning how to do the changes, like to do the tweaks. And once you know how to do that, it becomes easier. But I think that it's very complicated nowadays to put a label on a diet, because it's very hard to be 100% keto or 100% plant-based or 100% vegan or whatever. And a lot of people are doing like some cross choices. So they will do a bit of keto, a bit of vegan, a bit of pescatarian, a bit of like, it's just so that's a bit of where I am. So even if like my foundations are very much plant-based, I still love what a keto diet can bring me, and I try as much as possible to increase my healthy fats and decrease my the amount of carbs I consume.
Mm-hmm. Good for you. I mean, I think plants are great. I love my garden. We've had a garden. I've lived in this current house on the farm for, oh gosh, over 20 years.
Yeah.
So we've had access to all of that. Right now I'm in CrossFit. And so like my trainer today said, you need more protein. And I'm just like, oh, no, I can't eat it all. It's hard, to eat everything, but that's my goal right now. I think that you're right. Like, who wants to track? I mean, I'm not strict on anything. I just want to eat healthy and mindfully. And that's why I love what you said about why you got the name of your company. Beautiful.
Yeah. I think a lot of people would recognize themselves in this situation. I think also that it's just like what we've been through, and now what we might go through, you know, like with the war in Ukraine and a lot of people trying to bring it here, like in the US, like in the sense that it could become potentially a third world war, like, and it raises a lot of concerns and everything. I think that we went through so much with COVID, and we might, some people say we might have like we might go through a third world war. I personally don't believe so, because like weapons nowadays are much more sophisticated and there would be no winner. But anyway, that's a whole type of conversation. You just realize that you want very simple stuff in your life. And simple stuff for like the relationships, it's taking the time for yourself, it's focusing on really on what really matters. Yeah, indeed, I agree. Well, my dear, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. You're an absolute doll. I can't wait to see where your company grows, and you're awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Okay, I hope you were inspired, and thank you so much for listening. I love the whole stop and pause and enjoy. We need to reset ourselves daily and remind us that we need to be present and mindful so that we can experience the best that your life has to offer. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please head on over and check out our TikTok channel. And for all the links you can find at the show notes page at highenergygirl.com/show. This podcast contains the opinion and thoughts of its host and guests. It is intended to provide helpful and informative material on the subjects covered. All statements made on the podcast have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. If the listener requires professional assistance or advice, please contact your personal medical doctor. Both host and guest specifically disclaim any responsibility for any liability, loss, or risk, personal or otherwise, which is incurred as a consequence directly or indirectly of the use and application of any of the contents of these episodes. Like I said, this is my opinion and I could be wrong.